talk about what went into changing the schedule today. I think you were originally scheduled for a walkthrough, and what's the thinking there?
Yeah, just that we have extra time this week and an extra day, where our guys' bodies feel good, that we want to go out there and work some fundamentals and do some different things. This time of year, you don't get these as often just because it's late in the year. You don't have the extra days. You want to get a lot of the walkthrough reps. And we're trying to combine both of them here, like by getting a lot of walkthrough reps while also getting some stuff at speed and some individual stuff for some fundamental work.
You guys had a lot of missed tackles in the last couple of games. Is that something that you wanted to address with the practice?
Yeah, we're always thinking about our fundamentals. It's about what team is more physical. It's about what team tackles better. It's about what team blocks better. What team throws better, catches better, all those different things. So, and gets off blocks better, takes care of the ball better. Those are all fundamentals that we know are important and obviously critical to executing the game plan. So. On the year, we've still been good at missed tackles. I think we're third in missed tackle percentage. But, like I said, we want to get that extra work and as we get later in the year to make sure that we are living up to the standard that we know we can live up to in tackling.
Nick, do you expect Jalen, Devontae, and AJ to practice today?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll obviously give you a report here a little bit, and we'll see how they. We'll go through everything. I kind of got a feeling of what they're going to do. Some guys, we're expecting guys to be able to go during the game, and we'll see how their bodies feel out there and how much they do out there today.
You got the underdog hat on. Is that part of your messaging for this week heading into it?
No, I just like the hat. Yeah, no.
How much has your prior playoff experience helped you to get ready this year, and how much has it changed since you're probably not going in as hot as you have been in the past?
Yeah, sure. You lean on all your experiences, whether that's from previous years, previous teams, previous staffs, previous players, anything. You lean on all those experiences, and so we're definitely leaning on that experience of being in the playoffs, making a deep run in the playoffs. Obviously, last year. You just think through all that stuff with the travel, with everything. We obviously benefit from having experience. The guys on this team, the coaches on this team, like I kind of mentioned the other day.
Jalen mentioned that he's never been through something like he went through with the dislocation of the finger. In talking to him, how does he seem, and any concern that he'll be able to grip it and throw it the way you're accustomed?
I know that he's tough and he'll do everything he can do to play through it. He went back in the game on Sunday after he had done it, and he was able. I imagine it hurt pretty good. He's not going to tell me that though. I know that's Jalen's tough, and he's not going to tell me how bad he's hurting but I just know how tough he is and how much he can fight through and how much pain he can withstand. Obviously it'll be a challenge, right? Obviously it'll be a challenge, and I know that he can overcome because he's overcame so many things, different things throughout his football journey, and that's what makes him special.
Jalen said last week too that you guys meet once a week, coach, quarterback. What do those meetings generally cover?
Yeah, obviously we'll keep all our stuff. We meet all the time, right? I'm in every quarterback meeting. We meet on the practice field. We meet on the way from one meeting to lunch. We meet, individually as a group on Fridays to kind of go through the game plan one last time. I don't know if he's referring to that meeting. Do you know which one he's referring to? The Friday one?
He said there's one on Saturday.
Okay. The Friday one's more about, pretty typical between a quarterback, head coach, offense coordinator, quarterback coach. We talk about just the plan one more time. Saturday is just a review of some of the different things, the openers, the third downs, the red zone. But that's pretty typical, normal stuff. But there's just a ton of meetings throughout the week that, myself and Brian are always going to be involved in as far as with the quarterback. That's just something that I think that when things run smoothly is when the play caller and the head coach are in that quarterback meeting, as that's going around, because it is a really good meeting room, with Marcus and Tanner and Jalen, obviously, myself, Brian, Marcus Brady's in that meeting, Alex Tanney. So a lot of people in that meeting, thinking through things, discussing through things. It's kind of like just a meeting where we get to talk freely about, what we like, what we don't like, et cetera.
And when is the opportunity for you to kind of like do your connection thing with Jalen? When it's just you and him?
That's throughout the entire week. I pick different days with different guys to do that. And that's not something that's always a weekly thing. It's because if you're meeting weekly about, it's just stuff that you go through, and whether I'm in the stretch line talking to the guys or if they come up to my office, that's something that I try to be intentional about with all of our guys. But every setting doesn't look exactly the same. It could be I walk through the training room and I sit down there for 5 minutes and talk to a guy. It could be I sit with a guy at lunchroom. It could be I talk to him in the stretch line, or it could be in my office, a more formal setting.
And you try and find when you're connecting, you try and find ways to connect with them, common bonds. You put yourself in their shoes. And players have mentioned like various different things that you've done with them, whatever topic it may be. But like, what's the one thing that you go with Jalen?
Man, I will say this with Jalen. Again, don't want to discuss too much of just our personal discussions, but like we both love football, like extremely love football, and sometimes when two people love football that much. There's a lot of side conversations to be able to add because it always comes back to football. And I value that relationship the most because just, it is something you're trying to find that common bond with guys. And I love it when it's football because I love football too,
Nick, Pro Football Focus graded you guys as the best offensive line. And like, do you feel like you guys have taken advantage of that strength enough this season offensively?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, obviously these last couple weeks have not been up to what we want to be able to do. But you look at, I mean, obviously at the end of the year with that extra day, we kind of treated this week like a mini bye. Not this week, but that Monday like a mini bye. Obviously we didn't get the bye this year, but to be able to have that one extra day to go through some different self-scout things was really important for us. I don't know if anybody ever wants to play the Monday night game, but we looked at it as hey, this is a big time advantage for us, and it'll be an advantage for teams that think it's an advantage for them, And so we use that opportunity to look at that, and you can get into positions where you obviously again, like I said, we're not right now playing and coaching where we want to be or where we had throughout the year, but. We know that in first and second down, what do you really look at in first and second down? You look at yardage and you look at points. We're in the top 10 of both of those for the second year in a row. You look at third down. I think we're number 3 in third down. You look at red zone. We're in the top 10 in red zone. So those are more really important statistical categories that you look at a lot to kind of, think about, like, your numbers sometimes are what they say you are, and so we know we're a top 10 offense. We know we have the people in this building to be that. And again, like I said, we got to just get back to playing like we have for the most part of the year. Again, these last couple of weeks, not the most ideal way to go into the playoffs, but we're ready, looking forward to getting back on track. And that O-line, like you mentioned, has played their butts off. Very consistent, and we'll lean on them through this this postseason.
Speaking of the last couple weeks, Dallas Goedert said something on the radio yesterday that stood out. He acknowledged the mindset of not wanting to look ahead on the schedule, taking it day by day, but he also suggested that the team might have overlooked the Giants and Cardinals over these past 3 weeks. Might have just coasted and expected your talent to win games. When you hear that, what do you think?
Yeah, obviously we know the work that we put in. We know the work that we put in to work, to go out and play each week. I know those guys, you see them I know there's nobody coasting and when I'm in there in the weight room watching those guys work out or practice or meetings or walk through. And so, Dallas said what he said, and maybe that's how he felt. He obviously said that how he felt. I just know that the guys have been consistent. working. Nobody was satisfied with a playoff berth. I know that. It's what it turned into, just a playoff berth, not a NFC East championship, not a number 1 seed. It was a playoff berth. And I know nobody was satisfied with that, just like nobody's satisfied where we're sitting right now. We're like, well, we're in the playoffs. We want to go out there and win this week and see what happens. So I just see the focus of our guys and even through the ups of this season and through the downs of this season. And I know they're ready to work today. They're excited. That we're here in the playoffs. We obviously have waited a long time to be back into this spot. Not everybody gets to go to the playoffs for 3 years in a row or back-to-back years even. And so we're excited to be back in the spot because we know all our goals are ahead of us.
On the defensive side, Matt was talking yesterday about how some parts of the front, how sometimes you guys use some edge rusher heavy formations and later kind of shifted more towards nickel to better handle the run. In your conversations with him, where do you feel is best for your defensive front?
Yeah, that depends on the team at times. You always want to do things that you do best, but not every team's the same of how you attack. Defensively, not every team's the same as how you attack offensively. So, but you have core values, core beliefs as far as what you're thinking. But like I said, every game requires a little bit different. Those guys are studying it like crazy. Trying to put them in the best spots to make plays against the style of defense you're going against. Also knowing that you're going to get some copycat things, and you got to be ready to prepared to defend the different things that you may not have stopped before. And so I don't know if there's a clean answer to that, as opposed to just, hey, what are they doing? Now, what can remain the same is your violence, your physicality, and that's what we're looking for. Is regardless of what front or what people that we put out there, we know we really have a good defensive line, guys that we know we can lean on. Just like Bob said with the offensive line, and we know we're going to have to lean on them during this playoff run.
Couple more. With that, what have you seen from Jalen Carter in his first year? What did he reveal? What y'all learned about him?
Yeah, we drafted him at that place for a reason, and he's done some really good things this year, and we're looking for him to go out there and play physical and violent in this upcoming game.
Nick, what was your messaging to the team as you guys reconvene, or as a players reconvene this one?
Yeah, we just talked about our identity, who we are, and like I said, physical, violent. We talked about it with the offense. Don't forget you're a top 10 unit these past 2 years, or top 8 unit. Or whatever we finish this year in scoring and in offense, total offense. Don't forget that, right? And then special teams has been doing a great job all season long. Just talked about our identity. I don't think you come up with a new message because you get to the playoffs. You come back to who you are, what got you here, and even if you've drifted a little bit from who you are, what got you there. Just trying to get yourself back to that moment. And know we can have confidence that we've been here before and are ready to go up there and play a really good team that we're facing this week.
Ryan, you got to come two more guys.
Nick, you talked about just really quickly. Jalen talked about not being able to find that identity throughout the season. Do you feel like that physical, violent, is that the identity you guys are trying?
I think we all that's just how we're built as a football team, right? With our offense and defensive line, and a lot of resources in there, a lot of good players. And for the past 3 years, we have been able to lean on those guys. Again, nothing's going to seem good during a losing streak that we're on, or but we know that getting back to that is going to be critical. And we know how talented those guys are, how good of leaders they are, and we got great skill players too. Don't get me wrong. It's just that those guys. That's where we've built. Howie's done a great job in his philosophy of building the team with the offense and defensive line, and it's playoff time, and we know we can lean on them at this time.
Ryan's
You've talked since you've been here about how supportive Jeffrey has been of you as an owner. When things are kind of down like this over the last week, do you hear from him more? Like, what's that interaction been like with him?
Yeah, the same. I look forward to talking to him when he's out there at practice. Again, I just have nothing. He's given me nothing but support since the moment I've got here through. Like I said, through a 2-5 start, through a win streak at the end of 21, through winning 16 games last year, going to the Super Bowl, or 10-1 to start off, or even 5-6, losing 5 out of 6. It's just been nothing but support and willingness to do whatever he needs to do on his end to help us win. You can't ask for anything better than that. It's the only head coaching job I've ever had. So, obviously it's ideal, and I know how special it is because, I know how other places are too. So I know how special this organization is because of Mr. Lurie.
All right, guys.
Brian,
last one.
Brian's getting a couple interviews. What you went through that last year, obviously can't start till next week, but has anything changed from helping him to just how you handle it?
You try to help him as much as you can prior to, right? And as two things. I try to help him as much as I can, being the same person every day and teaching him what I know day to day, or bringing him in and say, hey, maybe you'll have to go through this, like people have done for me. And same thing with Brian. Like, you don't just prepare for a meeting, an interview, like in a week, right? You've been doing that your entire year. Like, I found, like, now when I interviewed for the Eagles job, like, we were off. We weren't playing anymore, so I was able to just sit there and write down a bunch of thoughts. But it wasn't struggling to write down thoughts. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that's how it goes. Like, so there's no, like, it's not like a pop quiz. No, not a pop quiz. You don't know what's coming. It's not like a final exam, right? Where you're studying all these different things. It's just what you know and what you've done. And so, like, the preparation, I guess to say, like, has been done for these coaches that go now. That might take an hour or two of their time when they're with that owner or with the search committee or anything like that. But all these coaches that are going for interviews now, their preparation's been done through the past 15, 20 years of their lives. And so, that's why, I mean, I know we talked about, you guys have asked about Gannon last year. Was he distracted? No, he'd been ready for that interview for 15 years, right? And he had been putting those things together for 15 years. I think that's a silly narrative that people put out there sometimes, because it can be a narrative, because if you don't know what goes into all those things. And so, I don't know about I know he didn't talk to you guys about, his interviews or anything like that. I don't know when they're happening, but I know he's ready, because he's been getting ready for his entire life for this.